Come with us on a journey to explore Devlyn's ever-expanding collection
It's not a collection.
of sewing machines. This is So Many Machines. I'm Morgan.
And I'm Devlyn.
Today we're talking about...
The Singer Featherweight.
So, tell me about the Singer Featherweight. What's its history?
Well, a Singer Featherweight is a half-size machine.
And how many Singer Featherweights do you have in your possession at this point in time?
Currently, we have yours,
Mm-hmm.
which was your great-grandmother's, Louise. And then I have...
She's named Louise, and so is my grandmother.
Yes. And then there are two others that we have found on our little explorations that I purchased.
But we've seen many, many others, and I believe you've taken pictures of
We've seen
every
lots
single
of them.
one of them that you've found.
Let's talk about what is a Singer Featherweight. It was designed to be a very portable machine. Now, originally there was a company called, let me see what it's called, the Frederick Oson Company. And they made the first portable machine, portable sewing machine, in 1928. Now,
how much did it weigh, like, as in compared to the Featherweight, do you know?
and by portable, I mean, like, really lightweight portable. Because,
Okay.
I mean,
yeah.
The machine we talked about last week, Beatrice,
Mm-hmm.
is also a portable machine. And it was 1906.
Right.
So,
I mean, like, most home sewing machines, if you really
yeah, but that
wanted
thing,
to.
that thing weighs, like, 30 pounds
Right.
or something. It's very,
When they
very
say
heavy.
portable, they mean some little lady is able to pick it up.
Yeah, they mean tiny. Tiny, lightweight. And what they did was
or some little old guy, too. I don't want to be...
Sure. Person. A little person.
was
you
able
know.
to transport it on their own without
Yes.
assistance.
So they innovated the aluminum body that is characteristic of the Singer Featherweight. And what it does is it makes it a lot lighter.
Wait, are you saying Frederick Oson Company?
The Frederick Oson Company did that.
Okay, it was the first with an aluminum body.
Yeah, and their machine was called the So Handy. They were...
Isn't that so clever?
Right? They were eventually bought by Singer. They changed hands a couple of times, I believe, in the 1930s. And at the 1933 World's Fair, Singer had made some tweaks and adjustments, and they introduced the Featherweight 221 to the world at that point. And that's what most people who have a Singer Featherweight have. They have a 221. But they were in production from October 3rd, 1933 to 1969, which is a really... with very few changes.
Well, but they did have that brief period of non-production.
Yes. During World War II, they were not in production.
But that was a period of what, like?
That is because, of course, the federal government told Singer to start producing something else for the war effort, which happened to a lot of different companies. So they were not producing... Let me see, I have it written down here. From 1942 to 1944, they weren't making machines.
Right.
So, but that's a very long production time. That's over 30 years, 37 years? No, 36 years that they were making the Singer Featherweight 221 with very, very little changes, except for, like, cosmetic changes in the decals. At some point in the 60s, they started introducing new colors beside the basic black with gold decal.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So they did a tan model.
Oh, the whole thing was tan?
Yeah. Yeah.
So that kind of, like, tan that I've seen on some of the machines that you have.
A similar color. A little bit lighter, I think, than...
But a little drab
than
color.
the Slantomatics that you've seen.
Yeah.
And then they also did one that is kind of this pale, minty, kind of avocado green.
Okay.
But it is called a white color.
Okay. So
It's like I guess it was pale turquoise is how it's called. But the tan and pale turquoise or white machines,
not to be confused with White, the sewing machine
company,
manufacturer.
right? Those were in production from 61 to 69.
So they were totally 60s colors.
Absolutely, and they were trying to appeal to a new demographic, I'm sure, because the black machines is so iconic.
Right.
But that was grandma's machine or mom's machine, and for like the boomers, I have no doubt this was intended to start appealing to boomers.
Those colors did not age well.
Right. Well, and they wanted something that fit their home decor and stuff like that too.
Okay, boomer.
But where I'm not a boomer, I'm afraid. But one of the other things about it is that it has a low shank. Now, the shank is where you attach presser feet to the machine.
And what is a presser foot?
A presser foot holds the fabric in place against the feed dogs, which are little moving teeth underneath the presser
They
foot.
call them feed dogs because they look like dogs' feet.
Because
teeth.
they feed the fabric through the machine. They start in the front and they operate and they pull the fabric through the machine.
And so they're called
feed dogs.
Feed dogs.
Feed dogs. I don't know why the dog part, but
just to be cute.
I'm sure it's not anything to do with being cute. It's probably some sort of name for a type of gear.
Okay. If anybody
but,
knows the answer to why it's called a feed dog.
But a low shank means that the attachment point where you attach a feed dog or attach a presser foot is a uniform height from like when you have it raised up, it's a uniform height away from the feed dogs.
On all machines?
Any low shank machine.
Okay.
Now, my industrial machine is a high shank machine.
I was just about to ask. Is there such a thing as a high shank?
And you've heard me talk about the slantomatics, and those are a slant shank machine. And we can talk about those more when we explore slantomatics later on. But those are the three main ones that I'm familiar with. But as I've been looking at different antique machines, of course, I've encountered different types of presser feet. As you may remember from yesterday, we looked at a lot of different little attachments, and I was like, oh, I think those are for the white machines from the white sewing machine company.
And so all of those feet alter the stitch in some way?
Yeah, they do different jobs. So on a straight stitch machine, which the Featherweight is one, it means it only does a straight stitch. It does a straight line of stitches.
And
it also has reverse.
It doesn't do reverse, or does
it? Does have reverse.
Okay. See, I'm impressed that I even knew that.
Right?
So much more.
And I have owned machines that don't have reverse, and and Beatrice is one of them that doesn't have reverse. Beatrice,
in case you don't recall from our last episode, was a Bradbury
family VS.
Oh, that's right.
Hand crank.
How could I forget?
Machine.
It's very unique.
Yeah. So, and she doesn't. So Beatrice doesn't have a system that I recognize as far as presser feet. It looks like she really only takes her foot. Because I tried on a adapter for a different type of foot, and it didn't.
She did not like.
She had no interest in it.
She was not. She was
rejected
not about that life.
But I will eventually find machines to use it on. I'm just not sure. Maybe I'll try it on my industrial next and see if it works. But at any rate, this is a low shank machine, and low shank machines are still in production today. Most of your home sewing machines will use the exact same feet as a Singer Featherweight, which is really convenient. Because you can buy these large assortments of presser feet. And the nice thing about the presser feet assortments is that they'll still work in the featherweight machine as well as most of your domestic machines that you can buy. The featherweight did come with a box of attachments that usually came with a couple of little hammer feet, a ruffler.
So was that standard? Were the feet that were included standard? Did you not know what you were going to get? Was it?
I think it varied a little bit, but there was something like 6 different ones, I think, and you'd probably get 4 or 5 of those, and it kind of varied which ones you would get.
So did you not necessarily have a way of knowing what was it, like a Pokemon gotta catch 'em all situation, or?
I have no idea. I wasn't alive at that time when they were in production.
Okay.
I know that shocks you.
No.
But I'm not that old. I would guess that the Singer salesman would go over all the different inclusions, and there's probably deluxe models where
you could get all of them.
Yeah, where you could get more things.
Sure.
Now it always came with a carrying case,
right?
Which you've seen, as you know, they're adorable.
Oh yeah.
And they had a little the first ones had a tray on the top. That was later discontinued in favor of a smaller kind of attachment carrier. But the big tray is really cool. It has places specifically to hold bobbins and for all the attachments to go. And apparently at one time there was a piece that would fit into the lid of the box that like made of corduroy that had different places for the attachments. Okay. But I've never seen one. We've looked at many featherweight machines. I've never seen one. I guess they're pretty rare. They probably don't hold up well.
If you have pictures of one, send them to us. We would love to include them on our blog.
Right? I've only seen them when doing research on the machines. So
I have a question.
Yeah.
Are we going to do a episode on feet sometime?
Yeah, I think. Well, I mean, we could do several episodes on all sorts of different feet.
Okay.
Honestly.
All right.
Honestly.
Well, we could do 10 best feet.
Right, or like your favorite feet, or what have you.
Let us know what you'd like to hear.
Yeah. You know, on a straight stitch machine, which I use every day, my industrial is a straight stitch machine. I mostly just use a standard straight foot.
Okay.
And
that's
occasionally
something because you're a professional seamstress,
right? And I have probably 20 attachments for it,
right?
So I can put
whatever you want on it.
Absolutely, but I think this week I used a zipper foot because I've been making masks, and when I put the metal strip in for the nose piece to make it moldable, I use a zipper foot along the side of it so that I can get really close to the metal strip, the wire that I use without sewing on top of it.
But you do not do that on a Singer Featherweight, which
I could. I could. Okay. If I could find a zipper foot for it. So some of the things that now the Featherweight is an extremely popular machine. The first time I ever heard of it was from my friend Jane. We were talking about machines. She used to work with me when I lived in Ohio in my sewing shop, and she was telling me about another place she had worked at where her favorite machine ever was a Featherweight. It was the first time I had ever heard of them, and this was probably 20 years ago now. And
you're a baby seamstress.
Somewhat. So I'd never seen one and never actually played with one until we found your great grandma's machine.
Mm-hmm. Do you want to talk about?
Yes, that's why I brought it up.
Yeah.
Well, we can talk about that day, or you can talk about the story of.
Right. So my mother recently passed away last year, and Devlyn and I have been going to my parents' house, where I live part time with my brother and my father, to mostly help clean things out for them because they're a little helpless. And we had finished cleaning out the master bedroom closet, and I guess, but it wasn't in the master bedroom. It was kind of in the foyer.
Yeah, it was in the foyer. I found a book.
Yeah.
There was a book. It may have been lying on the floor or somewhere near the front entryway.
But you spied it with your little eye.
I did, and I saw that it was about like the maintenance or like restoration of a Singer Featherweight, and I was like, wait a minute, nobody would have this book unless they had a featherweight.
And then you saw a certain case.
Well, I kind of at that point I was like, I wonder if it's near here, because if you have the book, it would probably be with the machine.
I swear to God, I think you smell machines.
I probably do. At any rate, you didn't think it was a sewing machine, but we opened the box anyway, and there it was. And I was very excited because I had never seen one before in person.
Mm-hmm.
And they are, like, Jane isn't the only one who loves them. They are very collectible because they are super cute looking. They look like a toy.
Yeah.
They're that small.
They have their little foldy
table. The table folds down, so it kind of comes out of this very small box, especially if you're a seamstress and you're used to a regular size sewing machine, and you see this little box and it's smaller than a file box, and you're just like, what is this? And you open it up, and there's this tiny machine folded up.
Petite, sweet little machine.
Yep. Perfectly
preserved in the case of.
Yeah, the decals are in great shape, and all of the little attachments were there.
That we have a book.
But you pull it out, and it is diminutive, but solid. You can tell it's a real machine.
Mm-hmm.
So they're extremely portable, but they're big. Besides being cute and very portable, they also are very smooth and quiet.
Yeah.
I tested one out one day, and I even sewed through leather with it, like belt leather. And they do a perfect straight stitch. That is what they are known for.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're
Don't all machines that do a straight stitch do a perfect straight stitch?
You would hope.
You would think.
That is.
And yet, disappointment.
And yet, no, they do not.
Or at least not as compared to the Featherweight.
So a lot of machines will just skip stitches. The timing will go off really easily. Especially, I mean, don't get me started on a rant about modern machines. You know how that affects me.
Do you want to just have a modern machine rant at the end of every podcast? And do a modern machine minute with Devlyn.
Probably should, because they're awful. And I mean, hashtag not all machines, right?
Oh, wow.
They're just, if you pay a lot of money, you can get a great machine.
Sure.
You can get a great modern machine. If you spend a couple $100, you're going to get a piece of shit. That's just
And that's
a fact.
sad, because a couple $100 is a lot of money for some people.
Absolutely.
I mean,
Especially
it's a lot of money for anybody to shell out.
Honestly, it's why I tell my friends, if you're going to spend a couple $100 on a machine, buy an older machine.
Mm-hmm.
Buy a machine that you know has metal parts in it, and spend the money to take it to somebody to get it serviced.
Preferably you.
I mean, they could, but take it to get it serviced. It's well worth it, especially, I love all sorts of different machines. We've seen several different manufacturers of machines while we've been out exploring.
Mm-hmm.
The big problem is that a lot of those older companies do not exist anymore. And it is very hard to get the parts.
But Singer, all of their machines, you will be able to find.
You can find most,
Yeah.
because they
Even
make
the really old ones.
well, and here's the big thing: the featherweight is not a rare machine. It is
No.
collectible, but
Yeah.
they made between 3 and 3.5 million machines in 30 years.
Wow.
Right. So
And
they
that was just of that model.
just of the Singer 221 between 1933 and 1969.
So there are plenty out there.
Yeah. What
For
is
you to
rare
find.
though is the 222K.
What's that?
So that is a machine that was built in Scotland by Singer. And its big thing is that you can remove the table and make it a free arm machine. What's a free arm machine,
Yeah.
right?
What? Oh, you're stealing my lines now. Wow.
So if you have a flat table surface where you're sewing, that's great for all sorts of things, like quilts and anything with long runs of stitches. But what if you're sewing around the end of a sleeve where it's quite small? You kind of have to shift the fabric behind and away from the needle while you're sewing around.
Like on a curve.
Kind of, but not a curve. So what a free
Kind of, but not a curve.
I mean, it's round, right? Like, so
Okay.
it's round, and you're going around it. But if it's really tight and you're on a flat surface, say you're doing a hem or something, right? You have to make sure the fabric underneath, because this is a circle, so you have fabric on top, fabric underneath. You have to make sure that doesn't get pulled into the needle, because you're not trying to
So it's
sew.
better to have it hang off the side.
Well, what a free arm machine does is it makes it so that you can slide the fabric around it. It's kind of like a stump, right? Like a literally an arm where you've cut off the hand and you just have this like stump sticking out where you can slide this item over it, like a pant leg or something like that over it, so that you don't have to worry about the fabric being underneath the needle. It just rotates around this arm. I wish I had a machine out that I could show you what I mean on it.
Yes, the wonderful people of podcasting.
Well, I'm talking about you, but okay. I can take some pictures and show that in our blog post that we'll do too.
Maybe an upcoming TikTok video.
But this, I mean, a free arm is a major innovation because no treadle machine has a free arm, right? No treadle. It's all that table, right? Most modern machines have a way to remove your table or to make it so that you can operate it as a free arm machine. I used to have a serger even that had a way to make it a free arm.
I'm still not sure what the difference between a serger and a sewing machine is, but
we'll get into that another time, I guess. I mean, that would be very difficult to explain, just off the cuff, so to speak. So one of the things that I've shown Morgan when we've gone looking for machines is the badge on the sewing machine, especially on Singers. They usually have, like, most of the older machines, it will be all brass all the way around, and so you just see this kind of oval medallion,
right?
And it'll say Singer Manufacturing Company. But there are special badges that Singer did, and the Featherweight has, because of its longevity, it has a huge selection of different badges that were included. So when it was released at the World's Fair in, what did I say, 1934?
Which is kind of a big deal for that to be the machine they took to the World's Fair.
Well, it was their initial
offering,
creation of that little tiny portable machine. So they had a Chicago World Fair badge on it.
Wow, really?
Yes. Yes.
Like the Chicago World's Fair.
Yes. Yes. And I'm sure they only took a certain amount of machines. They probably badged up more than... But those... So when people are looking for a collectible machine, because these are rare, they'll look for like these little details about the machine that they can say, okay, this makes it special because only a few were made like this. So you've got the Chicago World's Fair. You've got the Texas Centennial.
What's that?
That is 100 years of Texas independence, I guess.
Oh, I thought it was a Centennial machine with a Texas badge on it.
No, it was the Texas Centennial, specific for Texas.
That's awesome.
Right?
That makes it even cooler than I thought it was.
Yeah, because we're in Texas, so that would be really cool to find one. Then they had the Golden Gate, which was both in 1939 and 1940. For the Golden Gate World Fair in San Francisco.
Now, is that badge golden?
No.
Yeah.
I believe that. So, I believe the Chicago is red, has a red ring. And those other two might also have a red ring.
I thought the Texas one was blue, wasn't it?
No, the Centennial, which is Singer's Centennial, 100 years of sewing. It has a blue badge, and the Centennial machines are all highly sought after. They were built probably, let me see, I think it's 1951 is their Centennial. So those machines are pretty highly sought after too. And I have one. It is not a featherweight. It is a 99K. And when I saw it, I was so excited. Do you remember? No, you don't. Yeah, you do. No, you don't. Yes.
Say it again.
The Centennial badge machine that I have.
Oh, yes. Yes, I do. That was the one somebody got for you.
Yes, you bought it for me. And we found it in...
Because you were debating...
We found it in Rosenberg, Texas, of all places.
You were debating whether or not you wanted it.
No. Not really. I knew I wanted it. I didn't know if I should spend the money on it. And so you cured that problem, as you have cured many other problems of decisiveness by just buying it for me anyway.
Well, that's not that many machines. I think I've only bought you 2 machines, haven't I? Or is it 3?
Yeah, but there's other things. There are other things.
Yeah, there are.
There are other things.
I guess I'm a good boyfriend.
Well, you're and an enabler.
Yeah.
A little bit of an
I
enabler.
also have opinions about the number of machines, but I still enable.
Right? You're still even yesterday we were out exploring at the Spring Antique Mall.
That.
I'm gonna call you out on it. At the Spring Antique Mall, we're walking around. I was being good. We saw a number of really great machines, like so many.
You're killing that pun.
I know. I made the comment at one time while we were looking around that they must have a featherweight farm because we saw at least 4 featherweight machines at this mall.
At least, and all sorts of feet and all sorts of other machines. There was that really cool desk.
Yes. Well, so the first machine we saw, I guess we shouldn't get into that because I'll just ramble for hours.
We'll talk about that one another time.
But we saw several really cool machines. Some in great shape, some in really, really sad.
Get this, y'all. She is going to see more machines tomorrow because the antiques dealer realized how much she likes machines and is going to lure her.
She has 4 of them in her garage.
To her garage. She's going to lure. Literally, Devlyn would get into an unmarked car with no windows in the back of the paneled van if it said sewing machines inside. So tomorrow we are going to a strange lady's garage to meet our untimely deaths, perhaps.
She was kind of stalking us through the
right, because she wants to lure you back to her.
Right. I think she was bored too, and we were engaging with her, and she was like, she
was adorable.
She doesn't sew, but she had a couple of different machines.
And her husband really wants her to get them out of the garage.
I'm thinking that's where the pressure comes from.
The husband, is actually, much like your boyfriend.
Yeah, it's like, do you need another machine? No, but I want it. Yeah, so it's been an interesting journey looking for the variety of machines. But they had a ton, and I said they must have a featherweight farm, or they're breeding featherweights at this place because there's so many.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep. What was your favorite machine we saw yesterday?
I liked that machine that was in that weird desk.
In the cabinet?
Cabinet, desk, whatever it is.
It was a very cool cabinet. It was like, I don't know if the legs had been taken off of it or if it was meant to sit on a table or something.
Maybe it had like desks up at the front. Or not desks, legs up at the front.
No, I don't think so. It was either cut down. I've seen another one like that listed on like Facebook Marketplace.
Cut down before. So maybe you can put it like in your lap?
No, like maybe on a table or something. Maybe a coffee table. It was quite short though. If you were just going to sit it on the floor, it would be impossible to sew on. That one was a 66, I believe. We saw several 66s, and it was just this beautiful cabinet. It was like all wood, and it had a door in the front that had a couple of little trays that nested together, and you could swing them out separately to kind of look in there.
So are cabinets like that are custom made for machine or manufacturers?
From what I understand, Singer had a certain like selection of machines, and some people will even identify them by number. They'll be like, "Oh, that's a number 17 machine, number 17 cabinet." You see certain ones very commonly. I'm guessing they were the cheapest to reproduce, and then some of the more fancy cabinets you don't see as much.
The ones with like the slender legs and the short little desk part are fairly common.
I saw a beautiful cabinet the other day. It was like mid-century modern design. Like a light colored wood, which you don't often see most of the time. They're like the darker woods. And it was beautiful. It had the original sewing chair that went with it. And then in the cabinet, I think it was a Slantomatic or something that was in it. Like probably the Rocketeer. So it was just a fabulous setup. Of course, they wanted
Did you see that
several
the day
$100.
You went shopping with our friend instead of with me?
No, I saw it online.
Oh, okay.
I saw it online when I was window shopping. No, I saw no sewing machines when I was out shopping with Heather.
Because on your sewing machine lock.
Yeah, you have a good radar for finding them, I think. So I have two
featherweights.
Two featherweights that I need to fix up. One we found on our adventure in Conroe. In Conroe, Texas. We had mentioned near the end of our visit to this one antique mall that we were looking for sewing machines, or we were interested in sewing machines, and the people at the desk were like, "Oh, we have one here. It just came in." So I looked at that one, and then the gentleman was like, "Oh, I have another one in the back."
Right, because the first one was too rough for us, I think.
No, the first one when they wanted too much money. They wanted too much money.
I mean, I think it was a fair price, just not for...
Yeah, it was just too... It was more than... Yeah, it's too much for, like, me to collect as a hobby to fix up and
potentially resell.
Yeah. Because I don't know if I'll resell them or if they'll even work a lot of times. Sometimes I can't even test a machine. So I was like, yeah, it's a little too much for me, but it was very cute. It was fun to be able to look at it and test it. It's like, oh, I have this other one in the back. Let me go find it. So he brings out this machine. The case is in terrible shape. It was very moldy, very moldy, very gross. Like a carpet of mold on it.
Yeah.
When I got it home, I sprayed it with bleach. I knew that it could possibly make it worse, but I'm like, at this point, how do you get worse than actual mold? So I sprayed it with bleach and cleaned it inside and out really, really well.
Yeah, at least the mold is dead. The mold
yeah. Well,
growing.
And the fabric that was on the machine is unsalvageable, honestly.
Right. So you're just going to strip it?
I don't know yet. I've seen a couple
Not the machines, the case.
Yeah, the case. I've seen a couple that have been refinished where somebody's taken all of the fabric off and then like sanded it down.
Done like a decoupage situation is what you said.
Well,
is that the word?
I don't know now. Decoupage, I think, is the word.
Decoupage.
A decoupage where you like glue pictures like on something and then varnish over them. Right. But I've also seen them where they've just taken the wood and sanded it down, filled in any holes, glued it back together, made sure it was really solid, and then just put a light stain and coated it with polyurethane, which
that's probably what you will do.
That's probably what I'll try because I would be new to doing it, and that probably has the highest degree of success. Trying to recover it with fabric makes the most sense to me, but I think I would suck at it. Even though I work with fabric all the time, covering a box with fabric is a very different proposition than, sewing something.
I bet you could do it. But
ultimately, I've also seen some great patterns for different, like, little carrying bags. And if the box is unsalvageable, I might either buy a new box for it or I might make a little carrying bag for it. Yeah. Like a little purse.
But how is that going to keep it safe?
Well, it's padded. It's padded. A lot of modern sewing machines are transported in bags. And you can
I have my doubts.
Oh, I see. You're very skeptical looking. But, I mean, or I might just get like, one of those pet carriers for the really tiny dog. Because I bet it would fit in there.
And it'd be super cute,
It's
too.
about the size of a tiny dog. And those transport little dogs.
I'd say it's tinier than a tiny dog in some cases.
Depends on the tiny dog, I guess.
Right. Well, if you grow up with standard poodles, any dog is
fairly small.
Fairly small.
So that was the first one that I actually purchased because Morgan has his great grandma's machine, which you didn't actually tell us. Like,
I thought I was saving that for the family machines story.
No, I thought you should talk about it. We'll get your grandma to tell the story for the family one. But you could tell just what you know of the story.
Sure. Did you have the year
of that machine? Yes, it is 1936. So she was born in 1935, right?
No.
Your grandmother? What?
I thought she got it the year before. No, you're right. She got it right after she was born.
So tell the story.
So in 1935. Or I guess in 1935, my grandmother was born to my great grandmother, Louise, who is married to a very wonderful man, who loved giving her very specific gifts.
I think the story was she wanted a sewing machine.
She wanted a sewing machine. And he was very much like a gift giving.
And he told her
love
what?
Languages.
What did he tell her?
You give me a daughter.
You give me a daughter.
And I'll
Give you a sewing machine.
Give you a sewing machine. Because he had 2 boys.
Mm-hmm.
He was tired of the boys.
Who isn't?
He wanted a girl. He's like, give me a daughter.
And I'll give you a sewing machine.
I'm sure he was joking. I'm sure he would have.
I'm just gonna venture to guess that Louise didn't use the machine very much.
No, Louise did not use the machine very much. I think they actually gave it to her mother, who used it. Wasn't that the story? Yeah. Gave it to her mother, who used it a little more than she did.
Right, so it was your
great-great-grandmother's.
Maybe?
Mm-hmm. Her mother was Lou LaBertha.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. And so she used the machine.
Oh, so your grandma's grandma used the machine.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then she got the machine. I don't think she sews either.
You don't think she sewed on it either?
Your grandmother.
Oh, yeah. No, because she gave it to her friend for a while.
Yeah.
And then my mother, one day, was like, hey, where's my grandma and grandfather's machine? And my grandma was like, uh-oh. Well, our friend has it.
Yep.
And there was all hell to pay for that.
Yeah, she had to get it back, and apparently said friend was none too pleased with handing it over. I think she thought, like many of us who borrow something that is quite nice, it's like, maybe they'll just forget that they loaned it to me.
Mm-hmm.
I think that was the little plan.
Yeah.
But your machine was built on November 5th, 1936.
It's just Guy Fawkes Day, and I have promised not to go on a rant.
And you're not going to.
Guy Fawkes being evil.
Which is significantly older than the 2 machines that I have. So the second machine we found in Beaumont, Texas, on one of our little adventures. And that was a similar story. Actually, at that place, the lady asked us as soon as we walked in the door what we were looking for. And I said, I'm always looking for sewing machines and sewing machine and related stuff. And she's like, oh, I have a little featherweight right here. And so I snagged it because it was an excellent price. And she wasn't sure if it was all intact, but I'm like, I'm going to take it. Because honestly, I was like, hey, the case itself, even if this one doesn't work, I can put it with my other machine that I just bought the week before.
Right.
So it was very awesome. But those 2 machines were 1948 and 1952. So quite a few years after yours. And I think yours is actually in better shape than both of those.
Yeah.
Just because it was
well cared for
and probably not used very much. I think the machines that are used a lot frequently, one, they'll get more wear and tear on the decals and the paint surface. Right. But ultimately, the real damage I see is from machines stored improperly.
But we'll get the full story on Louise for the Family Machines episodes, which should be forthcoming.
Yeah, we'll get your grandma to give us the
so
scoop.
All of my little inaccuracies will be cleared away.
Yeah, because I was just remembering what she had told us.
Yeah.
Over the phone, but I'm not sure of the entire story. But for the 2 machines that I have, we're looking for names for them.
Yeah. So you said, what were the years again?
1952 and 1948. And the actual dates are August 11th, 1952, and June 18th, 1948. So
you know what you should do?
If somebody's birthday is the same day, that would be really cool.
Yeah, or you should look at the top music charts for those dates and years.
Yeah.
See what the top song was.
I kind of feel like I should name one Jane.
After
my friend Jane, who first told me about featherweight machines.
Yeah.
I think that would be pretty
awesome. You
awesome.
still have to contact your friend Jane and tell her that you found down other ones.
Yeah.
Now you're keeping the Centennial Featherweight, right?
I don't have a Centennial Featherweight.
Oh,
It's a 99K.
Okay. All right.
I know.
Far be it from me.
Morgan is so confused about the machines. He's always like, I don't really know anything about these, so...
I mean, I know a featherweight when I see one.
Absolutely. Well, and you're great at detecting, like, attachments,
where they're hiding.
rogue sewing machines, just, like, being sneaky. Like, Morgan is like my seeing eye poppers. He's got a good nose
I'm your
for
feed
sewing
dog.
machines. He's my feed dog.
I think we should have a shirt with feed dogs on it that says "Good boy."
I don't know that you could get a good enough picture that anybody would know what the hell.
See, that's why it would be
picture.
so clever, because it would be just for your seamsters.
It'd be an inside joke. But yeah, so the machines of that time, they have the full-size machines, which most people had. A 99K is a 3/4 size machine, so it's a little bit smaller. It's a quarter size smaller than the full-size machine.
And then what is a featherweight, half size?
A featherweight is half size, yes.
Wow.
So it's even smaller. So you line them all up together. So I have a 201, which is a full-size machine of that same kind of time period, with the 99K and the featherweight, and they're like, you know, big sister, middle sister, little sister. They're very cute.
It would be cool to go back in time to the Chicago World's Fair.
It would. Well, and I mean, Singer was just such a successful business. They really, I joke sometimes when we go out to small towns to look for machines. I'm like, you know, you get better prices out in smaller towns because a lot of people have their family machine.
Yeah.
And they're like, I don't need your family's machine. I already got one. So,
right.
So when sometimes somebody passes away or somebody just inherits it from, you know, their mom or grandma, and they don't know how to sew and have no interest, they'll look to sell it.
Not even really realize what they've got? Or...
Well, you know, like, in Houston, there's just more people, so there's more demand for them. But if you're out in a town of 10,000 people, there's just not going to be a huge demand, so...
Right.
And only crazy people will drive a couple hours to go pick up a machine.
Are you calling us crazy?
Yes.
I mean, both of us have diagnosable mental health issues, so I would agree.
So we're going to go see 4 machines tomorrow, hopefully. If not tomorrow, it'll be on the weekend. She has to unbury them in her garage, and I'm like, can you send me pictures? Because I'm, like, super curious to see what's over there. But I think we're going to end up just,
helping her.
I think she wants us to clean her garage. I think that's the real
deal.
I think that's the real deal.
Well, if you
is
get
that it's
for free.
Yeah, right. She's an antique dealer. There won't be anything for free. She did say she would cut me a deal, but all of these machines she has have cabinets, which means where the hell are they gonna go? I'd need a whole storage unit.
No, you don't need a storage unit. You've got room right there.
I just cleared that corner out.
Look, that corner. That's a great incentive to sell some machines, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Well, with that, do you have anything more you want to say about the Singer Featherweight? Quilters love them.
Quilters love them because of the perfect straight stitch. And when quilters quilt, it's all about the top stitch.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all about that perfect top stitch that just, you know, makes all the intricate designs.
Not the bottom.
Nope. Morgan is making foul-mouthed jokes over here.
I'm not.
Under his breath.
I am not.
Absolutely.
I was just talking about
something. Oh, I forgot to mention the other two badges that the featherweight could have is also a black ring
Cool.
around the edge, and then at a certain point they made the S red. So some of the later models.
What do those indicate?
Have a red S. It just is a different age of the machine. And like I was saying, the 222K machine, the free arm featherweight machine, is a much rarer machine. I don't remember how many were made, but those are the machines that go for the most money. And it's always
How
funny.
much are we talking about?
A few thousand. It depends on their condition.
Wow.
But
what could somebody expect to pay for?
I have no idea. Most of them are actually in the UK. So finding one in the US that's in good condition, that somebody's willing to part with, would be quite difficult.
Because you're not just paying for
at that point
physical cost, you're paying for emotional value too.
Well, you're paying for the rarity, right? And if you're a collector and you're looking for a certain thing, a lot of times people will pay a premium for that. What happens with a lot of Singer Featherweights, as I've showed you before, is that because their condition is so rough, people will take them, strip them down completely, and do fancy paint jobs on them. Put decals on. Oh, they look fabulous. They do look fabulous. Like, I love the history in seeing like worn down decals or some wear and tear on a machine and the original paint job, but you can't deny they look adorable. There'll be all of these like metallic automotive paints, right? So you can get any color that you would paint a car.
So I could get a green featherweight.
Yeah, you could get a green metallic featherweight with gold decals.
Yeah. All
shiny and fresh and clean looking. And you'll pay, I think, around $1,500 for one of those.
Jeez Louise.
Yeah, because they require a full strip down of the entire machine so that they can be painted. And then,
see
like
what
baked.
I did there, Jeez Louise.
Jeez Louise.
Because
that's the name of your
featherweight is
good thing
Louise.
You already have a family featherweight. You don't have to go buy one.
Right. And so, kind of the end of that story is I'm going to learn to sew on the featherweight, so I'm sure there won't be many a story about my failed sewing attempts.
I think, what I'm hopeful about is that as you learn to sew, you'll feel more connected with the subject matter.
Maybe. Hopefully. I mean, I'm pretty connected with it anyway, just because of your interest in it. But, did you have anything more to say?
I don't think so. And I think we'll put some pictures and some information on our blog on somanymachines.com. And I think that's about it.
All right. So this has been Morgan
and Devlyn from So Many Machines, and we're gonna say so long.